morning and welcome back to Family Matters. With me this morning, I have not one but two guests. Okay, two beautiful ladies. Ladies, thank you for joining me. All right, and good morning to all our listeners all over the island, especially our social workers from your different departments. Welcome. Listeners all over, especially those who listen all the time, good morning to you, a special good morning to you. All right, I'm going to introduce my colleagues here, two social workers, and of course, they will say good morning to whoever they wish to say good morning to. So we have with us Mrs. Liafa Emmanuel St. Rose, who is our social worker for the Vieux District, Vieux region. And we have Mrs. Rebecca Louis, who is our foster care and adoption social worker. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be in studio this morning. I am very excited to be here, and I hope whatever we share with you, you can get something from it. To all the listeners out there, I'd like to say to hang in with us this morning because we have some great things to share.
Thank you, Mrs. St. Rose. Over to you, Mrs. Louis.
Thank you, Ms. Bondimet. I'd like to echo the sentiments of my colleague. I'm happy to be here as well, and I'm hoping that you stay around, listen, and then get some more information based on the work that we are doing at the Division of Human Services. So thank you. I'd like to shout out my colleague, Chad Eugene. He ensured he made it clear that I should big him up, basically. So Chad, I'm here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So, March is observed as Social Work Month. Okay, and our theme for Social Work Month is Social Workers Uplift, Defend, Transform. So, this is our theme for Social Work Month. And this theme was selected by National Association of Social Workers, NASW. So it honors the profession's commitment to enhancing well-being, meeting basic needs, and supporting vulnerable, oppressed, or impoverished populations. It highlights the vital role social workers play in fostering a more equitable society, especially during times of crisis and social division. So that was taken from NASW. Okay, so in light of this, having this month as Social Work Month, all right, and to keep up with our theme, I thought it fitting to bring in social workers, my colleagues, to speak on what we do as social workers. I'm going to go over to Mrs. Emmanuel Mrs. St. Rose, so she can tell you a little more about social work, what our roles are. Who are we? When you hear social workers, who are social workers? Yes, Mrs. Manuel. So when somebody comes and says, social work, what do you do? Who are social workers?
Okay, so social workers are trained professionals who work with individuals, families, and communities to address social challenges that affect their well-being. So basically, that's who we are. We are a set of trained professionals. I think the basic pedagogy for being a social worker is a first degree in social work and perhaps other related fields, I'm not sure, but at least a BSW or a BSc in social work. So we are trained professionals. And like I have said, for reiteration, We work with individuals, we work with families, we work with communities, and we address social challenges.
Okay. Thank you so much. And you heard me introduce Mrs. Emmanuel is a family caseworker, and I did say that Mrs. Louis is our foster care and adoption social worker. So when you hear social worker, there are different types of social workers. Am I correct, Mrs. Emmanuel?
Um, we basically perform different tasks,
Yes.
but I don't think we are different in type.
Oh.
I think we are just social workers. She would refer to me as a family case worker because what we do is case management, basically. So we are case workers, case managers. So we are termed differently, but basically our difference is just in the task that we perform, not in qualifications or anything like this, just the task that we perform. So we are all under the umbrella of social work, performing different tasks.
Right.
Yes, so I work with child protective services, and my colleague here works with foster care and adoption.
All right.
Yes.
Yes. Also, there are social workers performing different tasks at different establishments as well, because we have what we call the medical social workers.
That's correct.
As well, we have the psychiatric social workers, but in all, like you correctly said, we can be termed as a clinical social worker who can
Yeah.
perform all these tasks.
And of course, there's the generalist social worker.
Who performs? Describe a socialist, tell us more.
The generalist social worker is just not specialized.
Okay.
And usually the specialization comes at the MSW.
Okay.
Because like I am a clinical social worker because my MSW was in clinical social work.
Okay.
So I'm a clinical social worker, but I practice as a family case worker. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that clarification. So tell us a little about what you do, Mrs. Lee. We've heard Mrs. Centros. Tell us a little more about what you do, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, so I am with the foster care and adoption unit. So what we do, foster care, let me explain what foster care is. It's a temporary court-ordered living arrangements for children infancy to age 18 years who are removed from their homes due to safety concerns such as abuse or neglect. So it provides a safe and nurturing environment to those children who have been removed. And foster care would be, maybe we have kinship care, that when the child is removed, then she's placed with family, or we have a stranger, which is non-kinship care. So what happens is I am responsible for overseeing those children, ensuring that the placement is a good one, where they are adequately provided for and where they thrive in the environment, because we are removing them from an unsafe environment to somewhere where they are able to function effectively. So this is basically what I do in my capacity as a social worker. I care for those children while I overlook their safety in those foster care in the homes where they were placed into.
Do you also, should we say, facilitate adoptions?
Oh yes, we facilitate adoptions. Because some of those foster carers, they are well, I don't know if they're liable, but they can't adopt this child because foster care is a temporary arrangement, well, placement, so to speak. So our main focus is reunification with the biological parent. But if that cannot be achieved due to circumstances, then the foster carer would be able to adopt this child or maybe become the legal guardian of this child. So the Human Services, yes, we do assist with that as well, with the adoption of those foster children, yes.
Okay, very good. Also, I'd like to know, we heard the term foster care, a foster carer. So you place the child in foster care, so you need foster carers. Am I correct, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, yes,
Right.
definitely.
So, could you tell us, the viewers, who is a foster carer, and can anybody be a foster carer?
I'm not sure if anybody can be a foster carer because they are screened basically because we are not going to place a child, as they say, from a frying pan to the kettle or fire to the to the from the
Frying
kettle
pan
to
into
the
the fire.
right. So
Okay.
this is not what we are about. So we have to ensure that this individual fits the criteria of a fit person for the child. And yes, so we go our investigations. Our thorough background is check is done. So there are things that we need to do, checks and balances, so to speak, before a child is placed in the care of a foster carer. What was your next question?
So if I want to be a foster carer with the Division of Human Services, what must I do?
Okay, so you come to us and we take it from there. We have what we call a foster care package. This package just documents or where we need to find out everything that we possibly can about you. You need your police record, you need your medical history, we need to ensure that you are able to provide for this child. We need your physical, no, your psychological assessment has to be done. So we don't just put a child there basically. So there are lots of things that need to be done before this happens. So you come into the office, you speak to a foster care and adoption worker like myself or another worker, and then we give you the package that is needed and we take it from there. Yes.
So what about adoption? Is it the same process in terms of persons who want to adopt a child? So what would they do? What would they need to do to adopt a child? Because I've heard persons come and say, since the day I'm on a waiting list, so I need you to talk about this waiting list or the process. How does somebody get to be on the list if you want to put your name down to adopt a child?
Not every child who is in foster care is up for adoption. As I said, our focus is on reuniting the child with the biological parent. However, as I said earlier on, sometimes it's not possible. So this person would be able to adopt this child. But we don't do the legal aspect of adoption at Human Services. This is done through a lawyer. So this person definitely needs a lawyer to begin the process. Where we come in is when we are needed in terms of the package I told you about. So we do the background checks and so on. We do the home study report. And yes, but if the person has a child in mind, then they need to go to their lawyer for sure. If we are the ones giving this child to the adoptive parents, then we work with them like this, hand in hand. But a lawyer is definitely needed because we are not the one who completes the adoption process, so to speak. We assist with this, and if any of our children are going through this process, then we are there as well.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
for that. So, listeners, you're hearing. So, if you're interested, of course, you would contact the Division of Human Services if you wish to foster a child. Okay, and of course, like you heard Mrs. Lee said, when you foster a child, that does not mean automatically you get to adopt this child. It's just temporarily you take care of this child. Okay, yes. So thank you so much for that, Mrs. Lee. So over
Most
to
welcome.
Mrs. St. Rose. Mrs. St. Rose, could you tell us a little more about the roles of a social worker generally? What are the roles of a social worker?
Okay, generally, social workers, they advocate for clients. They do counseling, initial counseling, of course. They collaborate with other agencies. And by that, I mean sometimes our clients come to us and they actually need the help of SSDF, for example. So we are going to give them a referral to SSDF, so we collaborated, or they need the help of the police, and we do what's necessary. What we try to do as social workers, we try not to turn people away. So when people come to us, if the case is not our case, we do the necessary referrals. Yes, so we advocate and we collaborate on their behalf. So basically that's what our a large part of our work has to do with child protection services. A very large part. So we do a lot of advocating for children and the welfare of children.
Okay. I'm happy you mentioned child protective services because every time I want us to dispel right now the stigma attached to social workers, where before somebody hears that somebody is a social worker, the first thing that comes to mind is, you're coming for my child.
Yes,
You're coming for my
yes.
child away from me. So give us some information on that. Elaborate on this first, please. What, in terms of what we do, and eventually, if it gets there, that we have to remove a child.
Okay, removing a child is definitely not our first intervention.
Yes.
Most definitely not. However, if needs be, we have to. In some cases, we are mandated to.
Definitely.
So in a case like child abuse, if this is happening within the home, whatever form of abuse it is, that is sexual, physical, emotional, psychological, neglect, abandonment. If this is happening within the home, we're taking the child out. This is one of the interventions that we're going to do. However, our first intervention is not to pull your child from you. This is not what we want to do. What we want to do is to work with you and to try to remedy the situation as best as we can within the family. Okay, so we only take our children if we are in a dire situation. We take the children out.
So
I want to dispel the myth that we take people's children. We don't take people's children for every and anything.
Because we really don't want to take people's
And we really
children.
don't want.
Yeah,
I personally
what are we
don't want
gonna
to
do?
take your
Yeah.
child at all. I want you to have your child, and I want you to raise your child within your family circle and so on. But if you are abusive to that child, we are forced to take the child from you.
This is why, let me interrupt there a bit. This is why, sorry about it. This is why our main focus in foster care is reunification. We want to give you back your child. So yeah, so that's not our first option, is to take the child out. Our main focus is reunification. That just goes to show that we want your child to remain with you.
But
Yes.
I'm going to do a little turn over and say that on the news, I heard there was this parent who was really crying out, accusing the division of taking her child and not returning her child to her. So in a case like this, explain to me what is really happening here.
Well, I do not know of the case that you're dealing with, but there are
generally
so many variables. So we can take a child and put that child in foster care with the hope of reunification after, let's say, 6 months, as an example. So, and by the way, let me correct that. We don't take your child. We provide an intervention through the courts, and the magistrate places the child. We as social workers cannot place a child in foster care. We carry out an intervention, which is going to the court, and the magistrate places the child. We provide the magistrate with a fit person and a report, and the magistrate reads the report, reads the recommendation, and makes the final judgment on that case. So, having said this, to respond to your question, sometimes we have an intervention where a child needs to be out of your home for a period of 6 months. And while we are working with you to remedy whatever it is that had us to take the child out. So let me just use an example so nobody gets lost. So if we take a child out for sexual abuse, that was happening within the home. We take the child out, we refer the matter to the police. The police now will investigate because we don't do criminal investigations. So the police now will investigate. If the police takes 5 months to investigate, or rather 6 months to investigate, the child is going to remain out for that period. Yes. And if they go beyond that period, the child will remain out beyond that period. Because unless the matter is fully investigated, the problem is dealt with. So for example, if a child is being sexually abused and the abuse is happening within the household, the person, the perpetrator has to be removed or has to leave the house. And our intervention in that case will be solely dependent on what the police's intervention is. So once the police has done their part and the perpetrator has been arrested or the perpetrator has left the environment, we can reunify the child in the home. So, yeah. So if a parent comes on radio, on TV, and they share their concerns about the child being removed and the child not being sent back within the specific time, maybe it's better to come to the division and find out why, because we are working within the confines of the law. And there is nothing we can do if the case has not been dealt with sufficiently. So maybe the better thing is to speak to the social worker and find out where that case is, and then we can better liaise. But I just want to reiterate again, we do not want to take your child and keep your child. We really do not want to do that.
Yeah, so it's because there is a problem in the home, in the environment. This is why the child. So when you hear cases like this, you would ask yourself, why was your child taken away from you? Because we don't just, as you said, we don't just take children. Why? There is something to it. So you hear most persons saying, they like taking people's children. Why do they take people's children? Give the girl a child, and everybody, most times, they support. Yeah. But there is something. You ask, what is going on? Because we work for the betterment of the child or the welfare of the child.
And what is fortunate and unfortunate is that we cannot go out there to say to you, the public, this is why this is happening, or this is why, because what we do is very confidential.
That's correct.
Okay? Mm-hmm. We work within the confinements of the law, and we have to protect our clients at all costs. So even if you hear certain things about us, the Division of Human Services, our colleagues, my colleagues here, myself, social workers, we cannot come out here and say, this is not so, this is whatever. Because of course we want to protect our clients at all costs. So we cannot come out here to tell you, this is what's happening and this is what's happening. But it's okay because we know that we're protecting our clients. So it's okay, you can give us all the beams, but as long as our client is protected, this is what we work towards. Okay? Yes.
Yes. And to add to what you're saying, Ms. Bodime, this is why many times when social workers are in a bad spotlight, nobody says a thing. Because we really cannot go out and defend our position. Yes. The most we can say is the case is being dealt with and everything is going to be okay. We are working in the interest of the child. We cannot go out there and say, oh, well, you know why the child is taken out and you know this and that happened to the child. We almost in a position where we cannot defend ourselves. And Of course, we know society can be mean,
Yes, very much so.
and they
Very
can
much so.
paint a picture, and of course, people emphasize with them, empathize
Empathize,
with them,
right.
and I understand that, but sometimes this is just one biased side of a story.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Also on that, um, let us inform the public, any of you, of the laws that emphasize on that we work within the confinements of the law, so we cannot go outside of what the law says or does not say. For example, when we, especially we're working with a case of access,
Right.
yes. So give us some information on that, where we have to work with the law, and especially when access is concerned.
Okay. So where access is concerned, if two people have a child and they are not married, according to the law of St. Lucia, and gosh, we get bashed for that.
Very much
But
so.
according to the law of St. Lucia, the mother
Yes.
is the custodial parent.
Yes, 100%.
Because they are not married.
Yes.
And that's not us people, that's just the law.
Laws of St.
And we
Lucia.
have to work within the confines of them.
Mhm.
So the mother is the custodial parent. So in a separation, the mother keeps the child unless the mother is not fit. The mother keeps the child. Now, the father has a right to his child because that's his child. So in a case like that, where the mother is keeping the child away from the father, and we have those cases, unfortunately, the father needs to come to the office to speak to us. And then we call the other party in and we work out something where the father can have access to his child. Sometimes the father wants equal access. I've had cases where the father wants equal access, in that they tell you they want, if the mother can see the child 3 days for the week and they can see the child 4 days. But sometimes that's not possible. So we work out something in the interest of the child, always in the interest of the child, and we give the father or the mother, sometimes it's the mother who comes in, access to that child. But we have to work within the confines of the law. In a situation where, in a marital situation where the parents have 50% right to the child, we let family court deal with this. So family court deals with this. They arrange access and what have you. If there is abuse, however, we step in,
yes,
and we deal with the abuse part, and family court deals with other parts. So only because there are other legal issues surrounding marriage that we don't deal with. Yes.
All right. Thank you so very much for that, Mrs. St. Rose. I'm hoping that listeners, if you have any questions, of course, you can type in your comments. You can always call to get some more information, so get some clarification on certain matters. And of course, along with what Mrs. Emmanuel St. Rose said, that access, we have to, work within the confinements of the law. So sometimes, excuse me, so sometimes when we get a case of access, persons are not too happy with how we deal with it, and it seems that we are taking sides. The many times that we've heard we're taking sides, we're taking the mother's side.
Yeah, women are for women.
Yes, we are only for women. Again, the law, we have to work within the law. Sometimes, yes, I mean, we are human. We could see that, hey, this should have, maybe this could happen, but we don't have that authority to make this, maybe this could happen. We work within the law. And if we have to do otherwise, like you heard Mrs. Emmanuel say, the mother is the legal custodian, which means the mother is the legal guardian for this child if you're not married. So if we have to maybe do anything, if the mother does not agree, then we have to face the courts. The magistrate has to make a final decision. We don't make that decision. Okay? So I really like to emphasize that because I know we cannot come out there and, of course, defend ourselves, but we can give you some information where these matters are concerned. Yes. Um, Mrs. St. Rose, tell us also, along with Human Services, of some of our sister bodies and what they deal with.
Okay, so we have other agencies, like I said, we have within equity, we have social transformation officers, and they normally deal with the community. We have welfare officers. Welfare officers are those who are dealing with socioeconomic status of clients, and we have, of course, our family case workers. So these are the three agencies within equity, the Ministry of Equity. However, we have other sister agencies, like we have probation as a sister agency. We have Boys Training Center. And let me just say, there's no such thing as Girls Training Center in St. Lucia. A lot of people think there's something called Girls Training Center where we can just take your girls when they're misbehaving and send them there. There's no such thing in St. Lucia. Yes, so we have the Boys Training Center where the boys go for care and protection, and they also go for deviant behaviors. And then we have SSDF, who assist a lot with social projects, housing, and so on, and educational needs, and so on. We also have, we have the transit home. The transit home, the New Beginnings Transit Home, is within Human Services. And it is a place where it's a halfway house. Mm-hmm. It is a place where children go for a short period of time. Not children with behavioral issues, but children who need care and protection. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we have a child who is in dire need of care and protection, and our first course of intervention is to get a family member to care for the child, and in the absence of that, of course, we go out. And sometimes, because of the nature of the case, we have to quickly take the children to a place, and then we send them to the transit home. And the transit home is not a place where children go and stay forever. It's actually what we call a halfway house, a halfway home, where children go for a very short period of time, after which they are supposed to either be placed in foster care or go back home. Mm-hmm. Yes, but sometimes, like I say, because things are not always how we want it to be, sometimes the children stay there more than we would like them to, but they still have to get out after a while to be placed either in foster care or home. At the transit home, it's a government home, if I should say that, an institution. I don't want to call it an institution. So it's a place where the government of St. Lucia has for children. They accept children from 0 to from 1 day old, from birth
Yes.
to 17,
17 and a half.
17 years,
Yes.
364 days old. Yes, but the boys are accepted up to the age of 10, not past 10. Yes, because of course you understand the girl and boy situation, and the place is not very big, the accommodation is quite small. So we take the children there for care and protection. At that place, it's a very well structured place, very, very well structured. When the children go there, they get their schooling, they get their educational needs met, they get all their needs met, and of course, there is psychological support. There is a full-time therapist there to help those children navigate whatever the circumstances are at the transit home. And I think that's what they call a girls training center. I
Yes,
think
that's what
it's actually no, it's
Yes.
New Beginnings Transit Home, and it is a halfway home. It is not like BTC where it deals with punitive measures and so on. It doesn't. Okay, so basically, I think that's our sister agencies. Am I missing any more? Well, of
That's
course,
all.
yes, we have VPT. VPT is not a sister agency, but we work very close with them.
Who is
VPT is Vulnerable Persons Team, and that is a unit within the police force, and they work with vulnerable persons, as the name suggests.
Okay. We also have, last I heard, I think they're still there. Could basically see.
Oh yeah, could Mrs. Lucy is on the SSDF.
All right.
Yes.
So they do have projects. They work on projects where some persons will be deemed as caseworkers. They go to the families. They work along with
Yeah.
the families. Of course, they are trained. Some of them are trained as social workers, and they are out there. Okay, but the difference would be that where you are employed. Because
Yes.
even if I may have a social work degree and I am not employed as a social worker, I cannot call myself a social worker. I had that situation when I was a teacher. So I was a teacher, employed as a teacher, yet I had a social work degree. So who am I? I am a teacher. I am
That's
not
right.
a social worker.
Yes.
So yes, that's. Mrs. Louis, Mrs. Emmanuel was making the point of the different homes, and of course, we mentioned the boys' training center. A lot of times, we deal with a lot of we as social workers deal with misbehaviors, and you find sometimes parents before their child misbehaves, especially the teenagers, they come to you quite frantic and says, I want to send that child, like Mrs. Center said, to the girls' training center. If he's a boy, I want to send my boy to the boys' training center. Mrs. Little, could you tell us about the boys' training center? When do you think, I'm saying think, that a boy can go to the boys' training center?
As she said, she alluded to earlier on, there are two categories of boys there. Three of them. Okay, since we are not family case workers for boys training center, based on our
Yes.
limited knowledge, one would be for care and protection. These are boys that are neglected or abused, and of course we have no alternative accommodations for them, so they would be admitted to the boys training center. Also, we have juvenile delinquents. These are boys who are in conflict with the law, and they're not old enough to go to our legal penitentiary. I think that's the word. So they are sent there. Basically, it's court mandated too. And those on remand. So these are the boys that are catered for. So it's an institution, but it is categorized for different children, because, as she said, transit home only accommodate the boys up to a certain age. So these boys, for care and protection, they would go to the transit home, the New Beginnings transit home. So when they've overstayed their age, basically their age limit, then of course, if no one comes up, if the family has not improve their status really, so they are transferred over to boys training center. So they go there beneath the care and protection system, and then they meet up with the boys for the juvenile delinquent basically. So this is basically what happens at the boys training center. But with the transit home, the children go there for care and protection as well. But the public seems to be of the opinion that my child is misbehaving, she's 13 or she's sexually, so then I can call and say, okay, I want to send my child to the place government and for girls. No, it's a place for care and protection. If your child is misbehaving, we work with you. We can go to counseling, we can see what the problem is. We do that, but not just take a child and say, okay, she's misbehaving, so let her get out of my sight. We're going to put her where the government has for girls. No, this is not
just
what
for
happened.
girls, but boys training center as well. And moreover, I'm not sure if the experience is the same for the two of you, but with me, I've been approached a lot for boys and being told I want you to send my boy to the boys training center. So, Mrs. Centers, again, I'm coming back to ask, what would be for delinquent behavior? Yes, we're working with a client who has his delinquent behavioral issues. And if you heard Mrs. Louis earlier, you would have heard Mrs. Louis said that we work with the family. We don't just make a decision and say, hey, you came to me, okay, I'm going to put you there. So, Mrs. Centers, elaborate a little more for us as to some of the interventions and when would you send you would recommend, not send, sorry,
Recommend,
because
yes.
we don't send,
Yeah,
but
yes.
anyway, we take the matter to court. The magistrate makes the final decision. So when would you recommend that a boy especially would go to the boys training center?
Okay, I'm glad you made that correction because I cannot send anybody.
Right.
And yes, we all, I think, do get cases where people come to us in their frustration and say, send him to boys training center. We don't do that. We cannot do that. We cannot send your child anywhere. We carry out interventions, and our intervention may lead to BTC, transit home, and so on. However, a child we would recommend for a child to go to BTC if the child has displayed really bad behavioral issues. If the child is in conflict with the law, for example, if the child is stealing, the child is committing sexual acts,
Yes.
and vandalizing people's property and those things, then we will look at the possibility of carrying out this intervention. However, there has to be a record of those things.
Yes.
Because if these things are happening and the police do not have any records of these things, our hands are tied, because we will just be going on, they say, and like my colleague explained earlier on, we cannot do it. We have to take it before the magistrate, and we have to provide the magistrate with proof that, listen, these are what this young boy has been displaying, and so we need the help for the parent and the help for him, because when he goes there, like pretty much like transit home, the structure is the same, where they have counseling and therapy for them. So we put them in the system where we can give them the psychological help that they need and hopefully make them a better citizen. So, but we have to have something to substantiate whatever claims we are making. So if your boy is misbehaving and no reports are done, and you come to Human Services and say, send them to the to the boys training center, I'm not sure how much we can do with that case. So I'm sure you are hearing me saying that you should report the matters, and yes, you would be granting your child a service if you report them the matter and the converse is true. If you don't report it, you are granting them a disservice. You are not reporting them for the police to arrest them. You are reporting the matter so that they can get help. And that's the only way they can get help.
Definitely.
So you need to go and tell the police what your son is doing and let the police they will send a referral to us. But having said this, let me just tell you, the age of criminal responsibility in St. Lucia is 12 years. What I mean by that is once a child is 12 years, they can be held criminally responsible for what they do at 12. So I don't want the listeners to think, oh, my child is so young. If the child has committed a crime at 12 years old, they will be held criminally responsible. If the child is under 12, probation will step in.
Yes.
But then again, there has to be a report. Because if there's no report, we cannot help the child. Because I know of cases where children would steal and the parents would settle it.
Yeah.
And then they would come to human services and say they want the child to go to BTC. We cannot work with that. You understand? So like I say, we don't send children to BTC. So if we're making such a recommendation, we have to substantiate it.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Also, I would like to say here that most persons think these homes are places where the children get admitted or child gets admitted and that's it. So they drop them. I drop my child there, so I turn my back and I go. No, this is not what it is. It's a short-term solution to what you face. So while the children are there, they are worked, with, and the parents have to be involved. They are encouraged to come over to see the child. But some persons think it's a place of refuge where their responsibility has just been.
Sorry to use that term, but a dumping ground.
Right, but no,
Yes.
it is not. It's just a place where we help the children to be
All right.
rehabilitated. Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee. And thank you, listeners. We have Eudoxia Georgina, Eudoxia Jules, I'll stick to that, who says, keep up the good work you all do. There's always criticism, no matter what you try, but helping one person will make a difference. Thank you so very much,
Thank you for this.
Miss Rhys Jules,
Thank you.
for that comment. And we also have Bernard August. I'm seeing your email 9535. Good morning. So good morning to you as well. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for letting us know that you're on board and you're listening. Okay. Very good discussion. I'm hoping that, of course, when we leave here, our listeners will have a better understanding of what we do. And maybe the criticisms will be listened. Hoping so. Yes.
Constructive criticism is good. Right?
Yes.
It is good.
Constructive.
Is the keyword here. Yes. Any of you tell us what services does the Division of Human Services provide to the public? Any of you?
Okay, so on my end, with the foster care unit, let me say what we provide to our clients. We do have a foster care allowance, which we give to our foster carers, because we're not forgetting that these are not the children they're actually assisting. And we would like to while I'm at it, thank all the foster carers out there. You all are doing a tremendous job. And we are always grateful to them because they are the ones who turn up when we need someone to place this child, at that particular time. And some of them, they develop that bond and that love, and so they adopt them or they become the child's legal guardian. So let me just say, shout out to our foster carers. So we assist them. We don't just place the children there, we don't just place them and we turn our back. So this is where we come in as beneath the foster care and adoption unit. So we give them the foster care allowance. As I said, they are given the foster care allowance. Also, the education assistance program is there. So they get whatever that they need for school. And we also provide counseling for these children, because some of them do have behavioral issues as well. So we assist them. We assist them as much as we can. As in everything else, there are flaws, but our duty or our aim, our goal is to ensure that these foster carers are taken care of too, so they can, continue what they're doing with those children who need their help.
And in addition to that, the CPS, Child Protective Services, we provide counseling as well. We don't do therapy, and there's a difference. Yes.
Can you differentiate a little for us, please?
Okay, therapy is more involved than counseling. And can I leave it as that, or should I?
Okay.
That's okay?
So you do basic counseling.
Basic counseling.
You don't go in
I
there.
don't even want to call it basic counseling.
Yes.
But yes, we do a level of counseling, but we don't do therapy with children. We provide linkages for children. So we link children to the Ministry of Education if needs be, from the court, welfare, SSDF, the police. We provide those services. We do access, like we have mentioned. We don't do, well, there's a unit for foster care, so we do. However, let me just say that the way the foster care unit works within the structure of human services, the family caseworker would be the first person, the first worker to take the matter before the court, because some people get confused. So if you have a matter that is coming to the division for the first time, you come to your family caseworker. And by the way, we work by regions. Let me just stop to say this. We work by regions. So at least CPS, Child Protective Services. So we work by region. There's somebody who's working Soufriere, Ms. Bondimet. There's somebody, Soufriere Environs, somebody working Ancillary, somebody working Castries, Babono, Grosile, and so on. And then in the south, we have somebody working Vieux-Fort, somebody working from Labrie to Saltibus, somebody working the Micoud region, somebody working Dennery. So we work within our region. However, our services extend. If you come into the office and you're from Micoud, the workers for Micoud, the worker for Micoud is not there, but somebody will assist you at the office. So I just wanted to pause to say that, because I'm not sure that everybody understands that we work for regions. So we work by region, sorry. So somebody from Vieux-Fort may be calling Soufriere because they feel Vieux-Fort is too slow. And we get those things. You will still be sent back to Vieux-Fort. Or if we are working with you in Vieux-Fort and you think that the worker is too slow, or the intervention is not going as you think it should go, and you go to Castries, you will be sent back to Vieux-Fort, because we work. So just bear that in mind. And sometimes you just have to work with us, just speak to us, and then we can sing. So yes, so having said this, so we collaborate with other agencies. We do removal of children, last on the list, but we do that. We deal with domestic violence. So if you are in a situation like this, come to us. We do debriefing. So
I want you to stick a pin here.
I know she
Mrs.
wants me to stick a pin.
I need you to elaborate on domestic violence, because sometimes, because I know there is a Domestic Violence Act, and of course, part of it or some of it falls on the human services. However, if domestic violence has also, it is a criminal, it is illegal. It falls under the criminal code as well.
Yes.
So to find sometimes, that is why I'm asking for you to elaborate, because sometimes persons come to us and say, since you did with domestic violence, the police sent us over to you. to deal with domestic violence?
Oh,
So
we get that a lot.
Please elaborate.
We get that a lot. But when I say we deal with domestic violence, I was just talking about the services that we provide. We provide counseling for the victims of domestic violence, and of course, we would link them to agencies and so on. So, but we cannot deal with the act of the violence.
Yes. So the legal aspect of this would be the family
The
court
police.
who would give them that restraining order or the protection order.
That's
We don't
right.
do that. The
We
family
would
court.
give you a referral
Yes,
to the police
Yes.
to deal with your restraining orders, your protection orders, as the case may be.
But the police should not send.
Well, yes, for protection order
Fully for everything.
and
be
restraining
measured.
order, yes. I have gotten cases where the police, well, I don't know if the police did that, but the client came and the client said, the police sent me here for a restraining order, and I'm like, we don't do restraining orders. But when they do that, we don't play ball with them. We sit down, we write a nice referral, and we give it to them, explaining what they want. Because sometimes too, they are not forthcoming with the explanation, and hence the reason, because we are called human services. Everything is sent to us, land dispute, everything.
Child maintenance as well.
Child maintenance.
We don't do this either.
Child maintenance. Child maintenance is done through family court.
Yes.
But if you come to us, we will give you a referral because we do linkages.
Okay. Just some comments here, and we like to let our listeners know and compliment them for responding. For reaching out to us and letting us know that they're on board. So my apologies if I don't pronounce your name correctly. Some of you, the name appears as almost like an email. So I'm going to read what I see. Okay. Gloria Lian. Okay. Yes, you're right. Fostering is so important. For those of you who are fostering for the right reason and not looking to do that as an earning, not an income. So what I'm guessing you're saying is don't look at it as an earning or an income, but do it for the right reason. Okay, thank you. Gloria Leanne also said, my niece was fostered. It took guts and determination for me to make contact with my niece, and she's a big part in the family now. Okay, thank you for that, Miss Gloria. And also, Miss Gloria, if there are any issues, of course, you feel free to reach out to the Division of Human Services. And if you're listening to Mrs. St. Rose earlier, you would have heard her say that we will by regions, and depending on where the child lives, not the parent, the child. So the address of the child determines the region where the child, the worker's region where the child will be worked with. So for example, if the mother lives in Vieux-Fort, but the child is living in Soufriere with the father, of course, it is the responsibility of the Soufriere social worker to deal with the child, not the Vieux-Fort social worker. All right? And while someone that some persons, when you, I guess it's because of misunderstandings, you would come, like Mrs. Centro said, you will think that, okay, somebody's running too slow in Soufriere, so I'm going to Vieux-Fort. Whereas some people may think that when I come to you, Soufriere, I'm living in Soufriere and my child lives in Latuni, Vieux-Fort, and I come to you, it's because you don't want to deal with the matter. So you're telling me that I have to go to Vieux-Fort. So you're just stringing me along and sending me doing a roller coaster with me. It's being said. So understand that the address of the child is the region, would determine the region where the social worker would deal with this person. Okay, so we respect each region has a social worker, and we also have boundaries. So of course we have to work within our region and not outside of our region. Okay, so thank you. I'm hoping that this helps and this clarifies a lot. So continue, Mrs. Emmanuel. You were talking about the services that human services provide. I especially ask this question because persons hear the division of human services and come to us, as you said, for land disputes, for everything under the sun. And
Yes.
of course, we cannot deal with everything.
Well, basically, I think I was finished
Okay.
touching with this. And we do elder care as well. I don't think I had mentioned that.
Right.
We do elder care as well. So basically, that's what we do
Okay.
at the Division of Human Services. Not land dispute, not maintenance, not dealing with criminal matters.
Yes. But
Yeah.
we are guided by the Child Care and Protection Act.
Yes,
Okay?
we are.
We are guided by the Child Care and Protection Act, not the criminal.
Not the criminal code. Yeah.
Not the criminal code. And of course, we also want to emphasize on the fact that we do not have the power of arrest. Okay, we do not. So the police does. So whenever it's a criminal matter, the police has to be involved. And as you heard, Mrs. Central said it, Mrs. Louis said it as well, that we deal with the division VPT, vulnerable persons team within the police unit who works along with us. So they have to do the investigation. Sometimes we work with a matter, we do our due diligence on that matter or up to where we can. As I said, we are guided by the Child Protection Act and the police, they are guided by the criminal code. So they would work their end on the criminal code. So of course, we have to wait for the police to finish their part so we can conclude this case.
Mhm.
And many times you would hear,
The social worker isn't doing anything.
all right,
Yeah.
the social worker is not doing anything. They're not doing anything. They did not send the child to BTC. They did not arrest the man. They did not. We do not have the power of arrest. And like you heard, we work with different institutions. We have to work with different bodies. So this is how it is. All right. Anything else? Well,
Yes, I would love to say, based on what a caller, well, someone wrote with regard to foster care, she said it took what guts and determination to.
for me to make contact with my niece.
Okay. Sometimes, well, a lot of the times when children are in foster care, the the families of the children, we don't hear much from them. So she is right in that. I would love to say that we need the family members of these children to come as well, because sometimes persons are not forthcoming with information where we can get those children, because we're all about family. So we don't want to isolate children from, their biological family. So we just encouraging the families to come forward, because most times when we are looking for somewhere for this child to be placed, family members are MIA. You think the children have no godmothers, no godfathers, no one, is there ready to assist in that that time. So family members come forward, so because it's not going to be something where it's going to take guts and determination, because we want family members to come forward, with those for these children.
Along with that, Mrs. Lee, just so we could put the more information out there, that this is very clear. That sometimes, and please correct me if I'm wrong, either of you, that sometimes when a child is placed in foster care, the visitation and also how the family would interact with this child would be monitored. It has to be supervised.
Oh yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Because you would be thankful that you are fostering a child, and at any time in the night, the mother has your phone number, and the family has your number. The family calls you any time of the night, just walk into your house and so on. No, so there will be measures as to how you go about. So most times when a child is placed in foster care, it has to go through the worker, the social worker. The visitation and all has to go through the social worker. Reason for that, we want to protect our foster carers as well, because of course, if there's no supervision, if there is no plan, nothing, how would you would not want to be a foster carer? Sooner or later, we will have no foster carers because they will say, the parents are always coming in and this is always happening and so on. So we have to make it, we have to schedule it, we have to plan it for the protection of the social, for the protection of the foster carers as well. Because certain cases we have, we cannot allow the certain cases we have, there are limitations to visitations and all.
Mhm.
Am I correct?
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
there
so we
is.
just, so I just wanted to put that out there. So persons, when parents sometimes, when their child is in foster care, they believe that they have a right to come in, make decisions, come in to see the child when they wish, call the persons
I-
to have the number and so on. No.
I understand. This is why every child in foster care would have a family caseworker.
Right.
So that's where those arrangements come in and how it is done. They're not just left on their own. That's where I come in or we come in to get it done the right way, basically. So they're not just left on their own.
Yeah, and I think there was a little oversight on our part because placing a child in foster care is a process and it's a legal process.
Yes.
When the child is taken from the home and the child, that matter has to go before the magistrate. So we make a recommendation to the court, a fit person recommendation to the court, and the court gives us what we call a care and protection order. So the care and protection order is given to that fit person, that person that we have recommended. And the care and protection order is a legal document. The care and protection order gives the foster carer legal rights to the child for the period of time for which it was made. Within that time, the parent is not the legal guardian of the child. We are not taking your child away from you, but we are giving the foster carer legal responsibilities for that child. So once that matter has gone through the court and the child is placed in foster care, we know that this child, we need to explain to the parents that this child will be with that person legally.
Yes.
This is why, as a foster carer, with your care and protection order, you can apply for a birth certificate for that child.
Okay.
With your CP. So parents, we discourage parents from going to take their children. Some parents go and they take their children. All the foster carer has to do is to go to the police, present the care and protection order, and that child will be given back to them because they have the legal responsibilities. And we discourage parents from going to the people's homes and doing, all communications need to be channeled through us. Yes. And of course, you are not stripped of your right to your child, so you can have visitation, and depending on the circumstances, it may be regular visitation or it may be supervised visitation, and that is on a case by case.
And if reunification is possible, then you are reunited with your child.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay. So quickly before we end, we have Ms. Nicola anointed. It goes through the social worker to foster care children. Again, she's asking what is the situation when a child needs foster care. You came on a bit late, Ms. Nicola. Okay, and why would a child be taken from the home what are the causes of children being placed in foster care? And of course, we answered all these questions earlier, but we're going to
Let's go to the show. Let's tell the show what I do.
okay. So because of time, Miss Nicola, you would have to listen to the entire program because we are out of time. My apologies, but we
But to
did
make it
answer
short,
we
safety
did answer
concerns.
the questions, right?
No, I was just saying, just to right, is safety concerns, safety concerns. This is why safety concerns, whether it be abuse, neglect, just name it, safety concerns. This is why a child is removed from the home.
Okay. Thank you so much. So thank you for all our listeners. Thank you for all of you who gave your comments, who let us know that you're listening. Thank you so much. Please join us again. All right. Next week, Wednesday, for another show of Family Matters. Thank you to Mrs. Emmanuel St. Rose and Mrs. Louis, who came all the way from Viewport to join me here. I'm very
Our
thankful
pleasure.
to both of you. So, anything you'd like to say in closing?
Okay, my final message is that social workers are here to support families and protect the most vulnerable members of society. Our goal is not to punish families, and I want to emphasize that we do not punish families, but to help them access the support and resources they need to provide safe and stable environments for their children. We encourage families and community members to work together with social workers. Work together with us to promote the well-being, protection, and development of your children throughout St. Lucia.
Thank you so very much. Well said, Mrs. St. Rose.
Yes, definitely. I would like to say, please open your hearts and home to a child. Also report child abuse. Do this because there are many children who are victims of child abuse, and because adults remain silent, because we remain silent, these children suffer silently. So report child abuse either to the police station, to the Division of Human Services, to the schools, yes, to the church. Just do it. Report it to a matured institute. I don't want to say matured institution, but report it, and so this child can be safe.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Lee. Well said. Persons who know of child abuse, whether it is your loved one within the home who is doing the child abuse, or whether it is a neighbor doing the child abuse, you should not differentiate and look at the relation of the person to you to determine whether you will report or not. It is wrong. It is wrong. It doesn't matter who is doing it. Okay? So, and there is a law against that, aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
That if you do know a child is being abused and you did not report it, you can be charged.
Yes, you can be held.
Okay? You will be held accountable by the law. All right?
Because you become culpable.
Yes. Okay. So thank you so very much. Till next time.
Thank you.
In the life, sir.